John 11. Love delays, death is confronted, and resurrection power forces a verdict. Yehovah, teach us to trust your love when timing confuses us. Strengthen our faith where grief has weakened it. Make us stand in hope and obey your voice even at the tomb. Yehovah, hahash. Yehovah brings life where death has settled. He reverses what we cannot reverse. Deuteronomy 32, verse 39, echoed as Yeshua calls Lazarus out. John 11, verse 43 through 44. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity, echad, with himself. And you shall act upon your love, ahava, to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, hey, vav, hey. Hand, behold, now, behold. John chapter 11. There was a man who had fallen sick. His name was Eleazar, and he came from Beit Anaiah, the village where Miriam and her sister Marta lived. This Miriam, whose brother Eleazar had become sick, is the one who poured perfume on the master and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent the message to Yeshua, the Aleph and the Tav, Master, the man you love is sick. On hearing it, he said, this sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may receive glory through it. Yeshua, the Aleph and the Tav, loved Marta and her sister and Eleazar. So, when he heard that he was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. Then, after this, he said to the Talmudim disciples, let's go back to Yehuda. The Talmudim disciples replied, Rabbi, just a short while ago the Judeans were out to stone you, and you want to go back there? Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, answered, aren't there 12 hours in daylight? If a person walks during the daylight, he doesn't stumble, because he sees the light of the world. But if a person walks at night, he does stumble, because he has no light with him. Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, said these things, and afterward he said to the Talmudim disciples, our friend Eleazar has gone to sleep, but I am going in order to wake him up. The Talmudim disciples said to him, Master, if he has gone to sleep, he will get better. Now Yeshua, the Aleph and the Tav, had used the phrase to speak about Eleazar's death, but they thought he had been talking literally about his sleep. So Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, said to them in plain language, Eleazar has died, and for your sake I am glad that I wasn't there, so that you may come to trust. But let's go to him. Then Tomah, the name means twin, said to his fellow Talmudim, yes, we should go, so that we can die with him. On arrival, Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, found that Eleazar had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Beit Anaiah was about 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many of the Judeans had come to Marta and Miriam in order to comfort them at the loss of their brother. So when Marta heard that Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, was coming, she went out to meet him. But Miriam continued sitting in Shiva in the house. Marta said to Yeshua, the Aleph and the Tav, Master, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, said to her, your brother will rise again. Marta said, I know that he will rise again at the resurrection on the last day. Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever puts his trust in me will live, even if he dies. And everyone living and trusting in me will never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, yes, Master, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world. After saying this, she went off and secretly called Miriam, her sister. The rabbi is here and is calling for you. When she heard this, she jumped up and went to him. Yeshua, the Aleph and Tav, had not yet come into the village, but was still there with Marta. still where Martha had met him. So when the Judeans who had been with Miriam in the house comforting her saw her get up quickly and go out, they followed her, thinking she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Miriam came to where Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said to him, Master, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, saw her crying, and also the Judeans who came with her crying, he was deeply moved and also troubled. He said, Where have you buried him? They said, Master, come and see. Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, cried. So the Judeans there said, See how much he loved him? But some of them said, He opened the blind man's eyes. Couldn't he have kept him, this one, from dying? Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, again deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying in the front of the entrance. Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, said, Take the stone away. Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, By now his body must smell, for it had been 4 days since he had died. Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, said to her, Didn't I tell you that if you keep trusting, you will see the glory of God? So they removed the stone. Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, looked upward and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I myself know that you always hear me, but I say this because of the crowd standing around, so that they may believe that you have sent me. Having said this, he shouted, Eleazar, come out. The man who had been dead came out, his hands and feet wrapped in strips of linen, and his face covered with a cloth. Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, said to them, Unwrap him and let him go. At this moment, many of the Judeans who had come to visit Miriam and had seen what Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, had done, trusted in him. But some of them went off to the Prushim and told them what had been done. So the head Kohanim and the Prushim called a meeting of the Sanhedrin and said, What are we going to do? For this man is performing many miracles. If we let him keep on doing this way, everyone will trust in him, and the Romans will come and destroy both the temple and the nation. But one of them, Caiaphas, who was the Kohen Gadol that year, said to them, You people don't know anything. You don't see that it's better for you if one man dies on behalf of the people, so that the whole nation won't be destroyed. Now he didn't speak this way on his own initiative. Rather, since he was the Kohen Hagadol, that year he was prophesying that Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, was about to die on behalf of the nation, and not for the nation alone, but so that he might gather into one the scattered children of God. From that day on, they made plans to have him put to death. Therefore Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, no longer walked around openly among the Judeans, but went away from there into the region near the desert to a town called Ephraim, and stayed there with his Talmudim, disciples. The Judeans' festival of Pesach was near, and many people went up from the country to Jerusalem to perform the purification ceremony prior to Pesach. They were looking for Yeshua, the Aleph Tav, and as they stood in the temple courts, they said to each other, What do you think? That he simply won't come to the festival? Moreover, the head Kohanim and the Prushim had given orders that anyone knowing Yeshua, the Aleph Tav's whereabouts, should come and inform them that they could have him arrested. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Tikvah, hope, a cord that holds when sight fails, anchored in Yehovah's power over death. John 11, verse 25 through 26. Chapter flow. Lazarus becomes seriously ill. The message reaches Yeshua. Yeshua delays. The situation worsens past human repair. He returns toward danger, fully aware of the threats. Martha meets him with grief and faith mixed together. Yeshua declares, I am the resurrection and the life, demanding personal belief. Mary weeps. Yeshua is deeply moved and openly weeps. His holy compassion, not detachment. At the tomb, he conquers the stone removed. At the tomb, he commands the stone removed. Faith is required before sight. He calls Lazarus out. Death obeys his voice. Many believe. Leaders harden, plot, and choose political survival over truth. Core theme. John 11 is where tenderness and authority collide. Yeshua weeps with the grieving and then speaks to the grave like a ruler. Love's delay is not neglect, it is purposeful. This chapter forces the decision, will we trust the shepherd when he does not rush? And will we obey when he commands us to roll away the stone? How can we learn to love Yehovah with our heart, soul, mind, and strength? We can love Yehovah by trusting his love even when his timing feels late to our emotions. Love Yehovah by confessing belief like Martha, faith that speaks before the miracle happens. Love Yehovah by obeying the roll away the stone command, practical steps that expose us to vulnerability. How can we learn to love our neighbor as we love ourselves? And as Yeshua loves us, enter grief with people. Do not hurry them past tears. Presence is love. Speak hope without cliche. Ground it in Yehovah's character, not in optimism. Help others obey one step at a time when sorrow has drained their strength. How can we bear one another's burdens? Carry the burden of prolonged waiting with the suffering. Stay consistent, not occasional. Help others remove stones, barriers that keep them sealed in despair or isolation. Intercede for those tempted to trade truth for safety, as leaders did. Pray for courage and repentance. What are the top 3 fruits of the Spirit found in this chapter? 1, faithfulness, emunah. Trust holds steady through delay, danger, and grief. 2, kindness, chesed. Love shows up in tears, presence, and compassion that does not withdraw. 3, peace, shalom. Resurrection hope steadies our hearts when death tries to rule the atmosphere. What is the mitzvah response, Torah-Based? Leviticus 19, verse 18. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yehovah. Command. We will love by staying present in grief, speaking hope, and taking obedient steps towards life. Hebrew declaration. Yehovah chazach et emu netunu beyom ive vetan lanu lev toach bi ahavatecha gam bi chiyot kra otanu min ha-kever lachayim vilamed otanu lehsir et ha'etvin. Yehovah, strengthen our faith in the day of grief and give us trust to love you even in delays. Call us from the grave to life and teach us to remove the stone. What is the one-sentence summary? Yeshua weeps, then calls Lazarus out. Love and power force decision. Now, after having read the chapter and going over it, here are some heart-piercing questions. Where has delay made us assume Yehovah is absent instead of purposeful? Another. What stone is sealing us? Pride, shame, fear, bitterness, isolation. Another. Are we willing to obey before we see, like removing the first stone? Another. Do we bring grief to Yeshua honestly, or do we pretend we are fine? Another. Where do we need to speak faith like Martha, clear, personal, and present? Another. Are we tempted to trade truth for safety the way leaders did? Lastly, who needs us to stay with them in sorrow instead of offering quick fixes? We'll end with the Aaronic blessing using the name. Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with the hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards your bringing order, and he'll provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shalom, shalom.